Hey everyone. I was listening to CBC radio the other day. Something I do in the truck when I'm kind of bored. I want to fill my head with something just to think about, to get my head off of other things that seem to be running around. And I was listening to the reporters talking about some of the things that have been going on in Alberta with some of the healthcare strikes and some of the other things, as well as just the discussions that were going on in Parliament. And I was struck by the way that they were talking to one another. It was extremely negative, and it was just, you guys have no idea what you're doing, and you don't know how to run this, just let us know, let us do what we want to do. And there was just this real sense of, like, you have no idea what you're talking about, you're just completely off base, and I don't understand where you're coming from. And that seems to be the attitude of so many people nowadays. And I don't know if it's because we can't actually connect with what the other person might be thinking, whether we don't have empathy for another person, or whether we won't have empathy for another person. I don't know whether there's a refusal to even be willing to try to see life from the other perspective. And I mean, it's going into everywhere. And the way that we talk to one another and the ways that we engage with those who are disagreeing with us, there's a complete lack of empathy. And on the one hand, I mean, this is just bad for society as a whole. That's what leads to conflicts, to splits, to wars eventually. But especially for us as Christians, this is just wrong. Jesus asks us to love one another and to even love our enemies, to care for them. And at least that means being willing to empathize with them, to put ourselves in their shoes and to see that maybe what they're saying, there might be some truth in it. I mean, nothing's ever 100% wrong, just like nothing's ever 100% right, particularly when it comes to having a discussion. That's why we need one another. Now, one of the ways that I have been able to increase my empathy, because it was hard for me growing up to be able to put myself into other people's shoes and to understand where they were coming from. In a lot of ways, it just seemed like I didn't understand why people didn't have the same perspective I did. And maybe it's because I grew up on a farm in the middle of nowhere and I didn't interact with people all that much, aside from at school and that kind of thing. But it was just like, well, this is clear, this is obvious. And if you don't get it, well, you're just done. Right? That was kind of what was in the back of my head. But over the years, I've read a lot of different kinds of novels. And one of the reasons why I found it important to read novels is because it allows you to really get into somebody else's head, to understand what they're thinking, what they're going through, why they're doing the things that they're doing. And it has actually helped me to be able to see that in other people as well. So I'd encourage you to read more novels or watch some really good shows that actually delve into a person's character so you can kind of see why they might be doing what they're doing. We, particularly as Christians, have an opportunity to show the world what it looks like to be empathetic, to think about what the other person might be thinking, feeling, and to recognize that what they're thinking and feeling are equally as valid as what we are thinking and feeling. Now, that doesn't mean that there's no truth, that there aren't ways in which we need to discuss and figure out what is actually true or what is best, and we can do that. But we need to be able to understand and to experience where the other person's coming from before we are really able to have that good conversation. So if you've enjoyed this and if this has been helpful for you, I'd encourage you to subscribe to the channel, and we'll see more of these things as we go along. God bless.